So what am I doing next? Well, I think I've finally plumped for Wellington's victory. As I said before, I'm reading this book about the battle. You can see they both depict, interestingly enough, the same event. Listocks bursting through the gates at Hougoumont, which could have been a turning point. Perhaps it wasn't, for the better for the Allied army. It's a great book in many ways, especially the fact that it has lots of these quotations, so of accounts from the time. So gruesome stuff on many accounts. I got all his brains, for example. He was standing next to me when the cannonball hit, and I got all his brains in my face. Which brings me to this game. I've had it for a while. We wanted to play it. I didn't get a chance to play it at the anniversary, and I think I'm going to have to sort of follow up on the book. I have picked up for a couple of quid in the UK and the wonderful charity shops we have there, this book on Waterloo, which is a nice little curio. It's a tie-in for the film by Dino De Laurentiis, but it's basically just about Waterloo, so it's not about the film as such. It's just got some kind of basic coverage of the days, some maps, a nice description. So all this like flavour text to help me with the game, which actually is gigantic. So this is gonna cover all my space. I have to pull this out and it would just fit sort of up to here, covering all the space, coming out to about here. And so it's a bit of a monster. Apparently it looks great when it's set up. It's very yellow, isn't it? Very yellow and brown from here. It's a hot summer's day. So very different from this, which is in the icy, snowy winter. So that will make a nice change. It is, after all, hot summer's day outside there. You can't really see or feel it, but it is. So we go to these burnished fields, and once all the counters are set up, I'm led to believe it looks quite attractive. There's a lot of counters. There's 2 counter trays in that box, and the counters unfortunately are unpunched. I know collectors like punched. I like punched and clipped when I get it, especially when you got, like 1,000 odd counters. I'm not sure exactly how many. There's at least 800, I would imagine. So but it's interesting because we have, Montplaisir is there. I don't know if you recognise that name. We've got, let's zoom in a bit. Hougoumont is there, depicted, and that's the actual Chateau Hex. Then we've got like the walled garden, so forth, the covered way behind. So Hougoumont there. Les Saint there. Here's the ridge, so there's not so much of a rise there. We've got hedgerows along the top, and then we've got Papelotte here. So many Waterloo games would really only cover sort of this area within camera shot as a matter of necessity. The French being arrayed around here, and the Anglo-Allied being arrayed around here, and then the Prussians coming on at a determined point here. But you can see this covers a lot more. Look at that. So there's about as much of the extent of the battlefield to the east that is covered, and not quite so much to the west, but still a significant amount, and sort of the same above, and you can see below, a bit truncated by the tables. But so there's going to be a lot of room for manoeuvre. So we got essentially what this is telling me on the outset is we're set up for a revision of the Waterloo battle. It does not have to be zoomed in. You're constrained by the boundaries to basically fight the battle that occurred, in the sense that the French, I imagine, could send off detachments, keep the Prussians held back a lot further back, instead of, say, having to meet them here. Then maybe send cavalry around here. you know, and the British having to defend the back a lot more, manoeuvring around there. So it looks like this will be a very exciting game, and I do like the system, as I said before, having played the Quatre Bras strategy and tactics version thereof. So I'm looking forward to that, although it'll take a bit of gearing up for it, so I don't imagine I'll be ready to play within a week or so. Apart from that, great news to me, I've got a regular a war game buddy who's Italian, and my Italian's terrible. His English is fine, and he doesn't mind me speaking English. It's not so great because I don't get to practice my Italian, which I hope to do with war game buddies here. I can when the odd occasion when I've gone away for like a weekend with them, but otherwise it means that I get some face-to-face gaming, and he wanted to play Europa after watching my coverage of Narvik, so I subjected him to Narvik. He's probably going to be listening to this actually, and I told him the German player would be the best to play, and why are you staring at a map? Maybe you could stare at me. Why not? How do I turn this thing around? Oh, I can't flip it, so I don't know if you can see me or not. But anyway, yeah. So I suggest you play the German because it would be a lot more fun. But after us playing it for I think 6 or 7 hours last Sunday, he said, like, I'm sweating, not because of the weather, but because of the onus of decision making and planning that is placed upon the German playing that game. Anyway, I hope he's enjoying it. It's not quite standard Europa, and neither of us have a standard Europa game, but that would be a nice game to get played, a more standard Europa with all the like the armor adjustments and anti-tank stuff and stuff like that, because I'd really like to try a system, and so would he. Like I say, I had the first to fight the Battle of Britain's Operation Sea Lion one, but again that's not so straightforward. It's mostly going to be air and naval, and then only so much land if in fact the Germans managed to make that invasion. So and the other thing for me is I've a guy on Board Game Geek, another Italian guy on Board Game Geek, contacted me asking if I fancy playing. He's in a similar situation to me, and having like a 6-year-old son. Mine's 5. He works fairly near me and doesn't live so far, so that would be interesting to meet. I'm just babbling, to meet a guy and to see. He's got a similar type of collection to me, you know, old SPI Avalon Hill classics. I think he's collected them from back in the day, and just see how that goes. Maybe yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. So that's just other stuff that's happening on the war game front for me. That's the end of. Did you just get a shot of my ear, Soli? Sorry about all that. That's the end of this game. Great game. Eagles of the Empire series. I would say it's a great series. You can see it's very compact. Compare that to that, and it plays very, very nicely and thrillingly as well. Over and out.